So Jesse, like I was saying, these smaller medals, you only get these when you win the top three in your age group.
Uh-huh.
They don't give you these as participation. When you run longer distances, they'll give you participation medal. But back in the day, you didn't get those. If you ran a marathon, they started doing and say, well, a guy ran 26 miles, give him a big medal. Back in the day, you had to beat a whole bunch of people, and they give you a little medal like this and say, "Here, go home." Go home. And
Wow.
if you didn't beat anybody,
Yeah.
they just say, "Go home with nothing."
Oh my
Just
goodness.
go home with nothing. But I was telling Marion that they used to give you cups.
Uh-huh.
So here's a cup from the Motor City Triathlon.
Oh,
They used to
okay.
give you a football. The football is from the Lions Run.
Okay.
I've got a Pistons Run in there someplace. And then they give you plaques from the Apple Fest. This is Huron Apple Fest.
Okay.
Mm.
So you've been racing since when?
1978.
1978.
My first marathon.
Wow.
And so how many of you run all together?
88 marathons.
88 marathons.
88 marathons.
And so that's the equivalent of how many miles about?
88 times 30 or so, that's about 2,400 miles at least, about 25 miles worth of marathons, races. But I've
Yeah.
got 91,000 overall miles.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm looking to build toward 100,000, and then I'll be satisfied.
100,000 miles that you've run all together.
Yes, that's what I'm building toward.
Okay.
And 100 marathons.
In 100 marathons. So you got about
Wow.
12 more
12
marathons to go.
marathons and 9,000 miles.
Wow.
So every day I go out and say, okay, that's 5 more. That's
Wow.
10 more. I love when I can get 10, if I
Yeah.
can get a few more. So when Marion and the people come over and we run on Friday morning, we might run, 3 or 4 miles to be on the schedule.
Yeah.
But if somebody says, let's do 2 more, I'm saying, let's do that.
Okay.
I'm adding them up.
Wow.
I'm adding them
Is
up.
that what I
wanna
should
get
have said
those
this
miles in.
morning? Let's do 2 more.
Yeah.
When you say it, I'm going.
Okay.
I'm going. 'Cause
Okay.
each day, you get them out there, man.
Yeah, and they all add up. Now, what do you say to people who say, well, all that that's too much running, it's bad on your knees, it's no good, whatever. You're just gonna break down.
Well, I've never had a knee problem, and I've run a lot of miles.
Uh-huh.
What we are saying and what the science is saying now is that if you don't have a knee problem when you start, you're not likely to develop one from running. But now, if you have a knee problem when you start, running will identify it.
Okay.
Running will bring it out. But it typically makes your knees stronger if your
Okay.
knees are okay to begin with.
Okay.
And people who don't run have worse problems with their knees than people that do run. Because running is a weight-bearing exercise.
Okay.
Weight-bearing exercise is known to strengthen your bones.
Okay.
And running is not ballistic like basketball or tennis where you run in and stop it. It's a very smooth motion. And the other thing I say about that is that you always want to be working on your running form. You want to develop your form and become as efficient a runner as you can.
Okay.
So I practice chi running, which is a kind of running where you focus on form. And one of the things they say is that chi running is a running practitioner. You're not just a runner, you're a running practitioner.
Okay.
You're out there trying to work on your form each day. You're trying to make sure your form, that your body's not getting in the way. So you don't have awkward movements, your arms go on the side, the rhythm is off. You're trying to run as efficient as you can all the time.
Okay.
And trying to make it so that it's effortless as much as possible. Now, it takes effort, but you're working toward an effortless state. Smooth,
Okay.
fast stride, shorter steps, quick cadence, just like you're gliding. And so there's a story about the Tarahumara Indians that have a game, Jesse, where they play soccer they run for almost 2 days. 100, 150 miles playing, kicking the ball, running around. And the whole village is out supporting them.
Yeah.
They have chia seeds stuck in their pockets. And they're running around and they have shoes made out of old airplane tires with straps around the feet.
Wow.
And they're running 150 and 200 miles chasing the ball.
Ooh.
And they took the guy who wrote a book called Running, what did he call it? Running. Born to Run.
Okay.
Born to Run. That's the book. Born to Run. Beautiful book. But he talks about how mankind developed as runners, chasing game through the plains of Africa, and how they would come out, and how you had to help develop the brain, and we had to stand up tall so we could look over the grass and see where they were, and our brains had to develop because we had to find the one deer that we were stalking, because you can't chase the whole herd.
Right.
They keep going around, but if you can chase one deer, if everybody focus on that one deer, wherever he goes, you go. Now he gets tired, you can outrun him. You can outrun him. Because eventually he'll break down if you chase that one.
Yeah.
So running and Born to Run talks about that whole thing. But the guy who wrote the book went to Mexico and lived with the Tarahumara Indians. And he said when he went to visit them, the funny stories, he was sitting outside the hut, and they're real private, kind of shy, different kind of people. And he said, you don't go just knock on the door. You just go stand out there somewhere in the vicinity. They'll know you're there, and if they want to see you, they'll come out. If they don't want to see you, they stay in the house. You don't even know where they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they come out. But he got with them, and he brought them back to the Leadville 100
Yeah.
and had them run the race. And he said these guys took like 4 or 5 of the top 10 places. And he said when people saw them running, it was like a whole different form. They wear long robes when they run. He said it looks like they were angels floating down the mountain. He said it looks like they were just gliding down the mountain. People said, who are those people, man?
Yeah.
But they had that style. And he was talking about barefoot running. That's why he had gone. He talked about so many people getting injured. And he said, well, let's see why they're getting injured. Why are so many people getting injured? And he thought that it might have something to do with shoes. And he saw these Tarahumara, they're running with airplane tires. He said they didn't have Nikes. You know, they didn't have 4-foot cushioning. They didn't have all that stuff. They had some airplane tires with straps. And these guys are running, for a day and a half in a row, kicking the ball.
Yeah.
And so he got that and started coming up with saying, hey, you can go footless, you can go shoeless, and you can learn to adapt. But it's hard to do it for us because we're used to shoes.
Oh, yeah, I can't do it.
Shoes give you protection, let you run on your heels.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest problems we have is people running on their heels, crashing down. Now, if you take your shoes off, you can't do that.
Okay.
You take your shoes off, you run on the balls of your feet.
Yeah.
Because your heels hurt. They don't have the cushioning on.
Right.
And so he talked about a different form of running. And so that's
I need some shoes.
I'm there.
And I need some cushion, but that much.
No, you don't
Yeah.
need that
I
cushion.
guess I do. My feet hurt.
Your
Okay.
feet.
My feet hurt.
So you've run 88 marathons. How many triathlons and other types of things?
Ooh, probably 10 times more other races than marathons. So I would imagine probably 1,000 races. Triathlons, maybe a couple of triathlons a year when I'm on, 2 or 3 a year. And then I've had a lot of off years because I couldn't find the time to bike. Biking takes a lot of time. And so when I bike to work, then I can do it. But when I'm not biking to work, I don't have the time. You got to bike, 100, 150 miles a week. And I just couldn't get it in with my normal. I've always worked hard. And I'm just now getting to the point where I can get that biking in. So I'm getting back into triathlons. Now I've done one Ironman complete, one Ironman 140.6, and I've done about 6 Ironman, half Ironmans, Ironman 70.3. And then I've done maybe...
That's 70.3 miles or kilometers.
70.3 miles.
70.3 miles. Okay.
So that's like a 1.2 mile swim, a 56 mile bike, and a 13.1 mile run.
Yeah.
So that's the Ironman 70.3. Now Ironman 140.6 is a 2.4 mile swim, and a 112 mile bike, and a 26.2 mile run.
Yeah.
So I've just done one of those, and that was quite an experience. I was worried about the swim just because my swim, I can swim, I swim about a mile, but it's a 2.4 mile swim. And it's in the Ohio River.
Yeah.
And we had to swim around an island, then downstream, then back upstream across the river,
Ooh.
across 3 underpasses. They're like you got to go on the 64, 75, and 96 down there.
Wow.
And each one's another half mile.
Yeah.
And man, I thought I got into a groove though. I couldn't believe it. I was flying through the water. Except the last half mile, maybe quarter mile, I sprung something, and I couldn't lift my shoulder. So I was swinging. I was swimming with one arm. I was swinging the other arm, man. So I was like limping in the water.
Yeah.
But my wife was there. Beverly was there, and she was going to check it out and see how she was talking to somebody and saying, well, my husband would be out, maybe another 20 minutes. Because people were starting to come out. She said maybe 20, 30 minutes. He'd be in the middle of the pack. And she looked up, and I was coming out. She said, he's out. He's out. Because I had a great swim.
Yeah,
I had
okay.
a great swim. But the bike, man, it was in Louisville. I never seen hills like that in my life. I had never seen hills like that in my life.
Yeah.
And then I had to stop in mile 60. There's only one porta-john stop on the course.
Yeah.
We didn't stop.
Wow.
When training, you're biking, you ride 60 miles or 30 miles, you might stop, use the bathroom, get something to eat, go again. No stops at all. No stops.
Wow.
No stop signs, no lights. Everything was clear. I stopped at mile 60. I had to go to Porta-John. There's about 9 people lined up. So I'm waiting and waiting. There's 3 Porta-Johns, 9 people. I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. Finally, I get back on the bike. I was never the same again. People were passing me. Before that, I was rolling with them.
Yeah.
I was in with them.
Yeah.
A couple young black girls came by. I was ready to ride with them. I couldn't keep up. I kept up for 5, 10 miles.
Wow.
I had to let them go.
Yeah.
Then I saw a sign, and we were going into the wind on hills. And the sign said 30 miles to Louisville. And I'm saying, good God Almighty, 30 miles into the wind. And I'm tired and broken down. I was so tired I couldn't hardly lean forward on my bike, so I had to stand up, sit up. Now when you sit up, the wind is just blowing you.
Yeah.
But I couldn't lean down, I was too tired.
Yeah.
So the last 10, 20 miles of the bike was just a struggle.
Okay.
And I got off thinking, okay, now I'm going to get them on the run. But when I got off the run, I changed slowly. I was taking my time. I said, I got plenty of time. I went and changed clothes. I got out on the run course, and I couldn't run one step.
Wow.
I couldn't run one step. I got a full marathon to go. I had to walk like the first mile. Then I ran a block. But I said, I'm finishing this doggone thing. So I ran, and I walk another half mile, then run 2 blocks. Walk another half mile, run 3 blocks. And I did that finally until I was half running, half walking. I made it past the cutoff because they cut you off.
Yeah.
It's 2 loops. If you're not to this point by a certain time, they say you can't make it.
Yeah.
You won't be able to finish.
Yeah.
I made it in there to that second loop.
Yeah.
Thinking I had a lot of time. So Jesse, it was like I had maybe an hour to run 6 miles. Might have been 5 miles. Still 5 miles an hour. I got there. Man, I was tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was struggling. And so when I came to the end, people kept telling me, you got 12 minutes. You got 10 minutes. I got to about the halfway point, or the half mile point, and the guy came out to run with me from the finish line. And he said, I'm going to run the last half mile with you.
Yeah.
He said, but we got 4.5 minutes. You got to go. And so we're running. I'm running. I'm trying to keep up. We're running.
Yeah.
I got to the finish line, turned the corner. It's a great big screen. They got everything on TV.
Yeah.
We running up there. Damon and them, everybody's following on the radio. You can see it.
Yeah.
And so I'm running in. I finished at 12 midnight and 1 second. 12 midnight and 1 second.
Wow.
And
What time did you start?
I started at 7 o'clock.
7
Maybe
a.m.
about 7:30. 7 o'clock or 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
12 midnight. 1
Wow.
second. And
So you beat the cutoff time by how much?
I lost to the cutoff time by 1 second.
Oh.
1 second.
Wow.
1 second. So they came over and they gave me all my stuff. Here's your finishing medal. Here's your award, and stuff like that. And so Beverly was there waiting for me. And the guy, they put me in a wheelchair. Here, we'll wheel you over. I'm going to go get your stuff. I said, well, take me over to Porta-John. He wheeled me to the Porta-John. And so I'm in the Porta-John, and I can hear Beverly talking to the guy. And the guy saying, well, we're going to bring his stuff over. She said, could you hurry up with that? And he don't need this wheelchair. We got to go. My car is right there.
Oh.
We're going to Detroit.
Yeah.
We're going to Detroit right now. She
Yeah.
had to be at work the next day.
Wow.
And so I couldn't go in and protest and say, hey, I should have been under the time.
Yeah.
Because the protest was the next morning at 8 o'clock. Because I would have told them, hey, I was at the Porta-John line for,
Yeah.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
What's going on with that? You guys
Yeah.
need some more Porta-Johns.
Yeah.
That's 10 minutes. That cost me.
Yeah.
I'd been well under the thing.
Yeah.
But the other thing, though, is when you stop like that for 10 minutes on a bike and you've been riding hard that whole time,
Yeah.
getting back on, the blood pools in your legs.
Oh,
And now
yeah.
you got a problem. You got a problem.
Yeah.
And so those last 45 miles or something, it was a struggle.
That was
and
it.
Jesse, I didn't describe the hills there. These hills in Louisville